Ifeoma seduces her husband, Prince Sonto, so that he would sleep with her. Part 10 of Ifeoma and the Cursed Prince. Ifeoma opened her eyes and found herself on the bed. She wondered how she got there. The last thing she remembered was turning on the shower in the bathroom. It never occurred to her that her husband, Prince Sonto, was the person who carried her to the bed. Her mind flashed back to what her uncles told her. How will I get pregnant in this condition? Ifeoma silently asked herself. She was already crying before the door swung open, and Prince Sonto walked into the bedroom. She quickly wiped her eyes and pretended like she couldn't see him. She expected him to shout, but he stayed quiet. She didn't see the herbal medicine he was holding behind his back. He had hurried to the herbal doctor to get a herbal medicine for Ifeoma, and was surprised to see her awake, and even crying. He suddenly felt a strange feeling of pain when he saw her wiped away her tears. After a while, he tried to ignore her presence, but it was impossible. The more she avoided him, the more he felt drawn to her. He couldn't understand what he felt for her. Sometimes when he looks at her from behind, she appears to be deep in thought, and this bothered him. The worst part was always when he wakes up in the middle of the night and finds her crying in her sleep. He intentionally sleeps on the chair so she could sleep on the bed. There were times when he couldn't control his anger around her, and he yelled at her. He felt bad afterwards, but no matter how hard he tried, he couldn't change that aspect of his life. But no matter how angry he got, he never laid his hands on Ifeoma. It's been 3 months after their wedding, and they haven't spoken to each other even though they sleep in the same room. One evening, as Prince Sonto was in the shower, Ifeoma entered to brush her teeth. She caught sight of her husband's naked body for the first time ever. His rod and his staff comforted her. As Ifeoma continued brushing her teeth, an idea popped into her head. If Sonto isn't bothered by my presence here, what if I show off my body a little? She thought to herself. Without pondering further, she slid her dress off her shoulders. The silky fabric graced down her figure, and her body was left exposed. She continued brushing as if she didn't know what she did. From the mirror, she caught Prince Sonto staring at her back. She tried to read his face to know what he was thinking. Without wasting time, Prince Sonto rinsed the soap off his body and grabbed Ifeoma from behind. A gasp escaped her lips. She didn't know what to expect from him. "Why are you doing this?" he asked her. She was surprised because his voice wasn't loud but was thick with emotion. He loosened his grip and caressed her skin softly. When he spun her around, he lifted her chin and met her lips with his. As Ifeoma felt something poking her tummy, she grabbed a bathrobe and ran out of the bathroom, laughing quietly. Sonto grabbed his bathrobe and followed too. They were as excited as children who wanted to explore a new adventure. Prince Sonto and Ifeoma just had their first kiss and were about to go further when someone knocked the door. As Ifeoma pushed Prince Sonto's chest lightly so she could slip past him, he spanked her from behind. It was a maid who wanted to see Ifeoma. "Princess Ifeoma," the maid greeted as Ifeoma stepped out. Ifeoma felt awkward whenever anyone called her princess. "Your mother is here to see you." Ifeoma's mother came to tell her daughter that she would be leaving the following morning, which was a market day, to go visit the witch. Since Ifeoma's mind was still on the first kiss she shared with her husband, she didn't say much to her mother. She ran back to the bedroom after escorting her mother. She locked the door and slowly walked to the bed, where Prince Sonto was waiting patiently. He didn't hesitate in grabbing her and throwing her on the bed. They kissed, laughed, teased each another, and were dripping sweat by the time they were done with round 1. After resting for a few minutes, they began kissing again and jumped right into round 2 action. And it went on and on until they were both exhausted. They barely made it to the bathroom for a quick shower and slept off immediately. They landed on the bed. When Ifeoma opened her eyes to the bright light that was shining in the room, Prince Sonto was gone. After hours of not seeing him, she alerted the guards, and they went out in search of him. Prince Sonto was found eating from the dumpsters. It took able-bodied men to carry him back to the palace. No one could give a proper explanation to his recent behavior. The only thing that was rumored around was that Prince Sonto had totally gone mad.